They do. Yeah, I might. My brother's weekend. Yeah. His mom and dad. Yes, I will give you that. Oh, yes. 5 It's like straight out of here, and then you go down to
I should reach
oh, yay. There was one time I was going to do it right now, but I would forget it if I don't do it right now.
I'll send you the
Yeah, without refreshing. Cool, and I do it just really hard. Wait, no, oh, how are you? Very good. Go introduce yourself. Oh, okay. You're getting the dinner, right? Yeah. Okay. She's getting married.
The Jim Bros. Excuse me, sir, I'm sorry.
That didn't work out. It moved. Hey, Jack. Sorry to hear see you from this type of situation. How's school treating you?
Hard.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Fun, but hard.
Yeah.
Adrian and Phil, or Adrian and
Yeah, I
Phil, right?
said hi to him already. I saw him, yeah.
So almost done with your freshman year now. Any big plans for the summer, or what's your just working? What are you planning to do for work?
Probably do the computer.
Yeah. Very cool. That's not too big, don't you? Yeah, you got to get the free golf in.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
How's career planning?
Yeah.
Job number one for the summer.
Got to get that in. That's it.
Good. How about you? Studying at Madison.
My favorite chair.
Yeah, it's,
Are you on campus?
yeah, it's a good time. Yeah. Got a good group of people. So.
I'll get started here in just a minute. I'm gonna turn the music off. I think. I'm gonna leave the music? Okay, almost. One sec. Okay. Me too.
You got this.
Okay, ready? Okay. Let's see if this is working. Yeah? Okay, virtual. Can everybody hear me in the back okay? No? Okay, can we work on the mic, Tiffany? Oh, there we go. All right, that's better. All right, and hopefully they can hear me online. So we are live streaming today. There's a few that could not attend with us, so we want to make sure that they were able to attend and hear and what we're here to say, and who we're here to pay respect to. First, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'm going to tell you I might not look up a whole lot, just because I need to keep myself together. So if I look down and stop looking at you, don't mind me. Might be trying to power through it a little bit, but I'm going to do what I can, the best I can. The kids and I and the family, we appreciate the care and support we have received over the past few weeks. As I was planning the arrangements for today, I struggled with what to do for Wade's service. I wanted to make sure his story was told, but not by a stranger that did not know him as I do and have over the past 28 years. It may, we put it in here, it may take me a bit longer to get through this, but I'm going to make sure I do it to honor Wade. And I wrote it all down just in case. You'll also be hearing from a few others today as well. And if anybody else at the end would like to say a few words, please just let me know. I'm more than willing to offer the stand to those that would like to speak. Wade Joseph Hansen was born on August 26, 1970. He grew up with his mother and siblings in Linster, Minnesota, and he graduated from Chisago Lakes High School. When Wade was growing up, he enjoyed playing hockey and taking full advantage of the beautiful lakes around the area, where he, of course, fished year-round. Kind of like the sports these days, right? Hockey's year-round, baseball's year-round. It's not one thing, it's all the time. And he loved it, right? I'm sure this is where he did get his love of fishing and where it started. Wade also loved hanging out with friends, listening to music, and dancing to some of his favorite tunes. His signature dance move was a sprinkler. Not sure if anybody's seen that, but he's like, this is my move. I'm like, okay, it's your move. We would talk about the times he would go fishing with Flicky, where he would buy a box of ice cream sandwiches, and I believe it was chocolate donuts, which I'm sure those ice cream sandwiches didn't make it to the boat. But he always did have a sweet tooth, and they'd hit their favorite fishing holes. He also reminisced about the trouble that he and Bruce Sadova would get into, and I'm sure his sisters recall the countless times when Mary had to have a chat with Wade about his choices and consequences. It was fun to watch him relive these moments because they always brought a huge smile to his face. After high school, Wade went to St. Cloud University, where he studied meteorology. He attended St. Cloud for his first 2 years and then transferred to UW-Madison his junior year. Wade thoroughly enjoyed his time at UW-Madison, where he obtained a degree in sociology. And of course, he had a few more conversations with his mother when he wasn't really focusing on his studies. But of course, he also had his fair share of fun at UW-Madison and could go to football games and the parties. He spoke of the times his roommates would buy the ingredients for meals if Wade would agree to cook for them. He always enjoyed cooking for others, lifelong, he always enjoyed cooking for others. And it was, of course, better than eating ramen all the time. After college, moved down to Des Plaines, where he started his working career. It wasn't until after college that I met Wade. Ironically enough, it was at a couple of weddings for two brothers of the same family. Let's just say it was the two sisters that were insistent on playing matchmaker at the second brother's wedding on New Year's Eve, 1994, that finally hooked us up. They were on a roll. They were, I think, 3 for 3 when they were hooking people up, so we were they were definitely determined. Wade enjoyed many things: hunting, fishing, cooking, coaching hockey, hiking, travel, and spending time with his family and friends. Hunting. In his college years, he enjoyed deer hunting with the Joel family. They took him in and treated him like one of their own. Although he didn't enjoy deer hunting as much as duck hunting, he still enjoyed the time it afforded him with his friends. As the saying goes, a bad day hunting or fishing is still better than the best day working. I think that goes for all of us, and with the hobbies we love, right? Except for the fortunate few that their job is what they love. Wade also duck hunted, and that was one that he could do with his friends and then sometimes on his own. He had his favorite duck spot that he loved to go to. Although he didn't always love the cold, he would love the connection to nature he felt, being out in his little John boat or canoe watching the sunrise. As he got older, he traded that heavy John boat for a camel canoe. He loved duck hunting season and was meticulous in getting everything ready for the hunt. Weeks prior to opening day, he could be heard using his duck call around the house, which drove Sierra, our chocolate lab, absolutely crazy. He loved to get her riled up and throw the decoy to her to fetch in preparation. Our neighbors probably saw her in the front yard just going crazy. He enjoyed getting her ready, and I think it just pumped him up too, right? Fishing. Wade fished as much as he could. He was so excited to get his boat back in the early 2000s. He had many early mornings on the lakes. We usually coordinated so he could fish early on his own, and then I would bring the kids in a picnic lunch out mid-morning, which was nice for me because I could sleep in, but he was all in, so he was enjoying his morning time. He loved teaching the kids how to fish, and he would be beaming from ear to ear when they caught a big one or even a small one. Sometimes the small ones were the best ones because it would be the funny stories. We'd be going for the smallest. Who caught the smallest fish this time? Oh, it was Tyler. Oh, and I guess, or the no fish when we go fishing on a Lake Michigan fishing trip, right? There's a trip where Tyler came home with a bag of water with no fish, but he still had a really good time. He was just happy to be sharing his hobby with his children. I think of the times fishing with him on the Madison Lakes, as well as our trips to Squirrel Lake with the kids, when they just dropped the line in the water and we could watch the fish flock around the bait. Someone whose name will go unmentioned would pull the bait out and put it back in near the fish they wanted to catch. It was quite comical, and we would just sit back and laugh as we took the fish off and put more bait on until we finally tired of the game, which sometimes would go on for hours. My dad also many times joined us on these trips, and the best ones were when we could just sit back and enjoy each other's company and the beautiful peace and scenery around us. Wade also loved to book fishing trips on Lake Michigan with Captain Ken. Prior to booking his first Lake Michigan charter, Wade did a ton of research to find the right fit for what he wanted to do and to make sure that he was getting a fisherman that knew his craft. Wade didn't mess around when it came to planning fishing, hiking, or camping trips. When he did them, he was 150% invested. Many of our vacations also included charter fishing trips. One in Monterey, California, as well as multiple Canadian trips, and one in Destin, Florida. Ice fishing, because that's not the same as fishing, right? Ice fishing. Wade loved ice fishing and never could have enough ice fishing gear. He had his portable fish house, his Sunflower, and then in 2019 he finally purchased an ATV with a sled to help carry all the gear he had for his setup. No ice fishermen out there? Beaver Dam tip-ups were his favorite, and they were tried and true for him. Old Betsy was his trusty tip-up that always caught a fish and never failed him, at least that's what he had told me. Wade loved ice fishing with his friends, brother, children. I'm sure they could all attest to his seriousness when it came to finding the best spot, lure, etc. When Wade fished, he would get in the zone, and he was persistent and focused. It would amaze me how many fish he would come home with. I still remember the times he would go up and stay with Mary when he went and ice fished up north. He loved his one-on-one time with his mom, and she always spoiled him by making turkey noodle soup for his lunch that day, and then at day's end, he usually ended up at Alice for the best burger in town. Wade always made sure to leave his mom some of his catch because she loved it so. She and I would joke about it, and I would always say I would send up some of the duck as well if she was interested. And she always took a hard pass on the offer, but at least I tried. Cooking. Wade loved to cook. You name it, he would cook it. He loved trying new recipes. He would love to smoke brisket, ribs, pork shoulder. At Christmas gatherings in the past, he was charged with cooking the prime rib and then his infamous gelatinous shrimp, which is shrimp smothered in garlic and butter and spices, which were cooked on the grill. Wade found comfort in cooking. It was therapeutic to him. When the kids were in Scouts, Wade enjoyed cooking with his Scout leader friends. I used to love to hear about the camping trips and was envious of the delicious meals he and the other Scout leaders would cook. Jambalaya, pineapple upside down cake, coffee cakes, you name it. I should be able to name more, but just let me say it was impressive and it would make my mouth water. So much so that I tagged along on a few campouts just to join the fun. They also challenged and taught the kids how to expand their menu options just beyond the traditional camping fare, which was such great exposure for them. Coaching and hockey. Wade and I wanted the kids to learn skating at a young age. He loved hockey and was very passionate about it. Ask any of the players or coaches he worked with. He would talk about when he played hockey when he was young. He would say he wasn't the best player, but he made up for it in enthusiasm. As for coaching, he loved working with the players and helping them improve their games and fine-tune their moves. One thing that we would do at the beginning of the season would be to have players and families over to the house for a potluck get-together to get to know each other a little better. This was in the early years of hockey, when things were still good. I'll get to that soon. But everyone enjoyed it and always seemed to help give a nice kickstart to the season. I still remembered some seasons when we ended up with a few extra attendees from families that were not on our team, but that just wanted to reconnect and invited themselves over. The more the merrier. We were always glad to have them. Then at the end of the season, at the final farewell party, he would give out awards. As I mentioned in the obituary, he poured hours upon hours trying to get the right award for the kid, and sometimes parent or two would get an award as well. Each award would have a memento with it. Smart water, matchbox card, a piece of pipe, Topps trading card, and a few reminders that I had today was a brick for our brick wall goalie, and most improved skater for one of the coaches. There were also many over the years. There were so many over the years. Yeah, I can't remember them all. They were really good though, and I mentioned to one of the coaches it wasn't about remembering what they were, but how they made people feel, right? And he just made them feel really good about themselves, and they were just anticipating. The excitement was intense, and it was special. You had somebody looking out for you to really, okay, they paid attention to what I did, and they're recognizing my improvements. Travel and events. Wade loved to travel and camp. We had several trips to Minocqua to stay in a cabin up north and fish. We also had some road trips. Detroit and Canada circle around Lake Erie. St. Louis, fly into San Francisco, and then drive down the coast to LA with stops in Santa Barbara and Monterey. A few trips to Florida, including of course Disney, not his favorite. But he did it anyways, just to see the kids' excitement. Fort Walton, trips to South Dakota, Colorado, and then to the East Coast for a road trip to DC, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Plymouth, Portland. That was a long one, but it was fun. When we traveled, we made sure to try new foods, new restaurants, new things. It was always an adventure. The last trip we went on was Glacier National Park in 2021. This was one of the trips on Wade's bucket list. Wade's hopes and dreams were to move up north and to get a cabin where he could fish and enjoy the outdoors every day. He also dreamed of hiking the Pacific Crest Trail and even started training for it a few years back and was making good progress. Although he was working towards these dreams, unfortunately they will never be realized. Wade was a good man with the best intentions and a kind heart. He used his sense of humor to lighten the mood and make interactions with others less difficult. It was also his way of helping try to cheer someone up. Wade was a proud man that wanted people to like him for who he was and not pity him for his struggles and afflictions. So that gets me to the elephant in the room, where I tell you that Wade suffered from anxiety, depression, and addiction, which ultimately brings us to why we are here today. These demons are the reason that Wade lost interest or was asked to give up and walk away from the things that he once loved. They are relentless and indiscriminatory. I'm here to tell you the struggle is real, and there are so many out there that are struggling with mental health issues and or addiction issues. Most of the time, they seem to go hand in hand. As a person that cared for someone afflicted with these issues, I will tell you the experience taught me a lot, but was exhausting and painful for all parties involved, and in our case, it didn't end up the way either of us had hoped for. Here are some of the things that are worth mentioning that helped me when things seemed impossible, and reminders to me of things that were not helpful. When someone is struggling, and some of these I know you've seen things on Facebook, but they're worth repeating. At least I need to repeat them. When someone is struggling, you don't need to tell them they are failing. They already know it. Happiness is yours alone to obtain. No one else can give this to you. It is also not healthy to think you should be happy all of the time. Let yourself be real and feel all the feelings, both good and bad. Just try not to camp out in the bad for very long, and sometimes shutting down social media is the best thing you can do for your sanity. Don't give yourself a life sentence for the mistakes you have made. The best thing you can do is learn from them and commit to doing better. Surround yourself with the people that accept you for who you are and truly do give you unconditional support. It is not a weakness to seek help, get counseling, or admit to a friend that you're having a hard time. I wish more people would start seeing this as a sign of strength. Hopefully we can change how society looks at this, as it is detrimental to our own existence and the existence of someone you may hold dear. If one good thing could come out of our years dealing with COVID, I would say mental health finally received the attention it needed to get people talking and reaching out to those they loved and cared about. Over-communicate and be sure to be clear in your communication. If someone doesn't understand, try saying it another way. If you don't understand, ask for them to say it another way. Do not assume that others know how you feel about them. Be that person you needed on the days you struggled. Pay it forward without expectations of reciprocation. Meet people where they are and not where you want them to be or think they should be. Walk away when you need to walk away from a relationship when it's not healthy for you, or take breaks when you need to. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Next, I want to talk about the saying that I put on the announcement. It goes like this. In life, you will realize there is a role for everyone you meet. Some will test you, some will use you, some will love you, some will teach you. But the ones who are truly important are the ones who bring out the best in you. They are rare and amazing people who remind you why it's worth it. What I challenge each of you to think about with this saying is that each of these people are not independent of each other. Let me say that again. They are not independent of each other. Each person you meet in life can be all these things to you at different points of time in your life. Wade was that to me. At times he tested me, used me, loved me, taught me, but he could also bring out the best in me. And that's the Wade that I will miss the most, and the one I'm most thankful for knowing. My hope is to remember most of the good times, while not forgetting about the bad ones that taught me some very valuable lessons. In time, hopefully all of you that had a connection with Wade can do the same thing. Things I want to make sure that I never forget are: anger truly is a punishment we give ourselves for others' mistakes and our feelings about how they treated us. Learn to forgive and move on for your own sake. Don't let those that have shown you they don't value you anymore. Don't let those that have shown they don't value you take any more of your precious time. Life is too short. Be gentle with yourself and others. We are human after all. Not everyone is going to be a healthy relationship for you. Love yourself enough to make the decision to walk away when you need to do it for your own survival. Even if it is family or someone you have considered a close friend for years, you are worth it. There are those out there that support you in your quest. There are those out there that will support you in your quest to find your own peace. If by chance you feel that disclosing your feelings could change the relationship, have an honest discussion. It might make your decision easier for you. Don't ever assume you know what another person is feeling, or more importantly, what they are going through. Believe in change and second chances, but proceed with caution. When it comes to past relationships that have been hurtful to you, and if you need to be done, don't be afraid to make that choice, even if it means starting from ground zero. If you have the strength and energy, be open to that same person coming back into your life years later when you're both in a better place and are willing to be open and honest with one another. So hopefully this didn't sound too much like a lecture. I've really tried to craft the way I speak in a way that is more supportive than directive, and hopefully what I have said comes across that way. I want to end by thanking those that were here for Wade in his darkest hours, those that were in recovery with him. I cannot pretend to know the struggles that you have every day, every hour, every minute, every second. But I have witnessed it firsthand, and I do want to acknowledge that struggle's real, right? And I know I'm not the only one that knows that, but again, it's worth repeating for me. There are advocates out there to support you. You just may need to search a little to find them. Wade, you will be missed. I know you already found your favorite new fishing spot, and that you have picked up Miss Sierra at the Rainbow Bridge. I'm sure she is keeping you busy playing ball. May you finally be at peace. As you can see, we are live streaming, or as I mentioned, we're live streaming the service today, since there are some family and friends that could not attend in person. I would like to present next some final words about Wade from one of his friends in recovery, Brandon. I will then turn the stage over to family and friends that have prepared some words for today. Words from Brandon, and thank you, Brandon, for putting this together. And sorry you cannot be here with us today, but you are on the live stream, so thank you. And thank you for all of your support over the years. Here's the words from Brandon. I met Wade during the start of my journey back in August 2021. First thing I thought was, aw man, another Vikings fan. As our small group watched every local football game together. Wade was probably the oldest of our group, but age didn't matter at Rogers Recovery because we all had something in common, which was our struggle with some sort of addiction. One thing I instantly noticed and liked about Wade was with his age came wisdom. His desire to help his fellow peers led to him helping several younger people with them trying to get their lives together and establish a direction and plan to get there. He helped them draw up plans for starting college and putting priorities in place as he was college educated and had a good career going for him, as well as a loving family. He also talked about how he enjoyed coaching kids. He always wanted to help others and help them succeed. He was so proud of his children being in college, and he loved his wife so much. You could really see the appreciation he had for Jennifer. Being there, helping and supporting him. He would always mention about how he was forever grateful for her. I was also excited when I found out him and I were transitioning to the same intensive outpatient program. We also tried supporting each other's recovery by attending AA meetings together, which Jennifer was so nice to drive us to every time. I always tried to support his journey of sobriety and brought him into my sober living house, which I ran and even got him a job. He would give the shirt off his back to help someone who needed it, so he deserved that same treatment. He had so many plans, goals, so that meant there was hope. He never wanted to give up, but kept putting one foot in front of the other, even with his setbacks. Wade, thank you for the impact you made in my life and others. You will be missed, but are forever in our hearts. Thanks for sticking with me through that. Josh? Next, I'm going to turn the podium over to Josh to say a few words, and then his family will follow. I knew I was going to do that. Don't come this way, Josh.
My name is Josh, and I only really got to know Wade over the course of 5 weeks when we were in rehab together. He was actually my roommate. And when I first shook his hand, he said his name was Wade, as in Wade in the water. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. A very unique person and someone that I love very deeply. He helped me I have like antisocial personality disorder, but he helped me work through and re-engage in my community. And he was a leader in there with us. And together we planned out our NA and AA meetings with Brandon and Lee. We ended up like leading the discussions and everything. And he really helped me take apart my goals and kind of work through my life. And I found one of my notebooks has some of his writing in it. And it actually showed me how to break down my goals. And so I didn't do exactly how it turned out in the book, but I'm actually using those goals and that ability now to set up something. I'm starting my own NA chapter in honor of Wade, and I'm going into recovery counseling for people like us. Wade suffered from depression and anxiety, and those things in your head, you don't feel like you have a lot of control over your life. And so sometimes you just turn to the things that you do have control over, which ultimately ended up taking his life. And I'm sorry that I couldn't have been there or done more. But may he rest in peace.
So I think I met most of you in line. I'm Wade's oldest sister. I'm gonna try to get through this. So I'd like to start by sharing a brief memory of my brother and also end with a prayer. So as you gathered from Wade's obituary and from many pictures here today, Wade had a great love of the outdoors. My family and I had that opportunity to share some of those experiences with him and his family. One in particular, when my children were younger, way younger, Wade invited us to go camping with him and his family up to Lake Wissota near Chippewa Falls. My children had never been camping before, and I thought, what a great way! We'll go with the family and experience nature. We borrowed camping gear because we didn't know if we'd ever do this again, and we set off for our adventure. When Jennifer talks about the great meals, you don't cook a hot dog over the fire for dinner. We had fabulous meals and shared those together, and great stories around the campfire in many of our camping trips. Wade's love of music, we got yelled at every single camping trip because we were too loud. So we had a great time. On that first camping trip, we were about to leave, and my son Brady, so taken by the experience, he said, "Mom, how much does it cost to stay here?" And I told him, I said, "I think it's about $8 a night." And I could see the wheels turning. And he was getting excited. He goes, "With all my money, I could live here. Mom, could we live here?" And this started with many years of 4th of July camping trips with Wade, because I said, we gotta make it a long weekend. I'm not setting up a tent and taking it down after only a night or so. And so it was so fun sharing those memories with Wade and his family. And I'll never forget them. So I found a prayer searching around, and I think this one spoke to me, because in knowing my brother, here are some words I think he would say to all of us. "Don't grieve for me, for now I am free. I took his hand when I heard him call. I turned my back and left it all. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy. My life has been full, I savored much. Good friends, good times, a loved one's touch. A friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss, ah yes, these things I too will miss. Perhaps my time seemed all too brief. Don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your hearts and share with me. God wanted me now, He set me free." Thank you. I'd like to introduce my sister Kara.
If I don't look up, it might be difficult, just like Jenny. Wade Babe Squirrel Turner was my big brother by 11 months. Yes, we are Irish twins. I will explain his nickname in a bit, but Wade always reminded me that we lived parallel childhoods together from the very beginning. We lived a childhood that was built on friendship, faith, hope, independence, music, and love. In November of 2017, I wrote Wade a lengthy letter when he was first at Hazelden, and I'd like to share with you a bit of that letter. I think it will give you a glimpse into Wade's younger years. Dear Wade, if there's one thing I know about my brother, it's the love for lyrics and music. So when I think back to our childhood, I think of a brother who had a loving heart filled with emotion and adventure. One who has been there for me since the beginning. I really wanted to make you a mixtape, but instead I'm resorting to some figurative language from many memorable moments filled with lyrics and laughter. So I'll start from the beginning. It was 1971, And James Taylor said it best, "You've got a friend." From my earliest memories, I knew that you were always there to be my friend. Thank you for always having my back, sharing the laughter, tears, and pain. In 1972, Gallery came up with the song, "It's So Nice to Be With You. I love all the things that you say and do." That was us. You were a built-in playmate. You'd play house and dolls with me, and I loved setting up your matchbox race car track down the wooden staircase. You would also color with me. Do you remember coloring on the hallway walls? We both learned that day the damage 409 could do to our lungs and our nose hairs. Jeez. Why did you color on the walls? We were such good buddies and we had each other. A few years passed and Paul McCartney came out with a classic in 1973 that would carry us well into the 90s as a remake, "Live and Let Die." Oh boy, did Mom's voice ring out strong in those lyrics. You've got a job to do and you've got to do it well. But if there's this ever-changing world in which we're living, makes you give in and cry, live and let die. Our jobs were plenty around the house. Remember Mom's voice on Saturday morning? 2 inside and 2 outside, let's go. No more piddly-dinking around, it's time to get a wiggle on it. I don't know how many other kids that were mowing the lawn in kindergarten, but we did. Growing up in small-town Linstrom near the lake in a single-parent household had its perks. We had way too much freedom. I'm not sure if we would make a better episode on the Goldbergs or Shameless. Either show we could have been the lead roles. It's 1974 and you ain't seen nothing yet by Bachman Turner Overdrive. We had the freedom to roam the town as long as we made it home for lunch at noon when the whistle blew, 5 o'clock when the whistle blew again for dinner, and lastly 9 p.m. when we were supposed to get home. Summer days consisted of fishing on the docks, baseball games in the pit, swimming at the beach, and ending our days playing kick the can in our front lawn. There were so many boys to play with in the neighborhood, and you always let me tag along. Winters consisted of ice skating daily, and Wade and I would swap skates all the time. He let me wear his hockey skates while playing hockey, so I wouldn't trip over my toe pick in my figure skates while he did figure eights all around me. We were always sharing. Having an older brother had even more perks than that. It was 1977, and you opened your birthday gift from the delicious, more mature Berquist Brothers. It was the Steve Miller Band album, and I thought I was going to fly like an eagle. You were cool, but your friends were hot. More perks. Wade's love of music started early. I know May and Tyler share this passion too. I'm going to skip a few pages of the letter, for there is just too much to share. So let's just jump into the 80s. Now to the best of music era, the 80s. It was 1980 and AC/DC came out with our softball theme song, "Shook Me All Night Long" and "Back in Black." Clearly, these were not appropriate church softball lyrics to warm up to, but once again, we had very little supervision. Speaking of church, did I mention that Wade was an altar server every Sunday morning at the 11:30 Catholic Mass? I thought he was so lucky girls were not allowed to be servers back then. So not only did Wade love to listen to music, he had some hidden talent too. Wade had the privilege to be a member of the Dynamic Dozen, which everybody wanted to be part of. This was a group of grade school performers who would dance and sing at school assemblies, city events, and nursing homes. He looked great in his green Dynamic Dozen shirt. However, not all teachers considered Wade dynamic. Go back to the letter, okay. I'll never forget sitting in 4th grade classroom listening to the principal announce, "Would Wade Hansen and Bruce Adova report to the principal's office?" I was like, I wonder what's up. Then about 10 minutes later, another announcement came over the loudspeaker, and it was a little more stern, and it said, "Wade Hansen and Bruce Adova report to the principal's office at this time now." That was a big concern at this point, because today we call that elopement, and that's not good. Wade and his friend had an issue with their teacher in 5th grade. Wade was, he didn't always take it, but his teacher would kind of shove him up against the locker room, and he didn't really want to do that anymore, so he split. And I said, "Mom was tuning in to Blondie that day, call me, while you were on Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train. However, you were no longer going to let Mr. Mober whip it good. Instead, you moved forward and moved ahead." All right, I'm cracking myself. Funny, right? Anyway, The 80s continued to belt out some awesome tunes, coming back to Wade, Babe, Squirrel Turner. I was the hockey statistician for Wade's hockey team, and his locker room name was Wade, Babe, Squirrel Turner. The Wade and Babe are pretty self-explanatory, and the squirrel comes from Wade's style of zipping around the ice. And the Turner comes from my mom's hairstyle, well, maybe our family hairstyle, because you saw some of the pictures out there. But the guys on the team thought our mom's hair looked like Tina Turner, and that is how Wade got his hockey name, Wade, Babe, Squirrel Turner. So the 80s were the best of times in Styx, and you earned another nickname at this time, the Chosen One. Mom worked endlessly to support Wade's hockey passion. Traveling all over Minnesota arenas and frequenting cafes for hockey breakfasts was a typical weekend. She lived Dolly's world, working 9 to 5, and believe me, it was not a way to make a living back then either, but it was 1982 while cleaning your room that Mom's angel was found with a centerfold. I thought, yes, busted, okay, good. But to tell you the truth, I was a bit disappointed in our mother's little reaction to your newfound treasure, because I think she made you a cake instead. Go figure. I don't know my mom. I thought it was a bit ridiculous, and you laughed. So I'm going to skip ahead on the letter, for you can see that Wade had memorable moments as a youth. The last page gets to you in 1986, where Whitney Houston taught us about the greatest love of all, and that all things come from above. Mr. Mister expressed that there would be darkness of the night, and that Kyrie equaled, Lord have mercy upon us. Hart taught us to be strong and never. So I ask you this Thanksgiving, Wade, to follow Bon Jovi and live on a prayer. Do not follow Whitesnake and become a drifter and walk alone. I look forward to living in the Wild Wild West, Escape Club, and dancing with my big brother at Christmas. I hope this Thanksgiving you can do a bit of Wing Chun and have fun tonight. Leave outcomes up to him, John 10:4. So in summary, Wade was my close buddy. We shared the same sports, friends, and crazy yet blessed childhood. I will be forever grateful for my big brother and our friendship. I'm going to end with the last song that Wade sent me this past Christmas, just a couple months ago, for he knew how much my heart was breaking. Wade was a deep thinker with a big love. And from one widow to another, Jenny, I know he's playing this song for you too. And I hope you dance. And the lyrics go like this. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get to feel the heat, but always feel the hunger. Never take one step, single breath for granted. God forbid your love leaves you empty-handed. Hope when one door closes, another one opens. Promise me you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. I believe Wade is up there dancing now.
Well, hi everybody, thanks for coming out today. I'm Corey, Wade's youngest brother, the baby. I know it might be tough to kind of follow that up, but I did want to open it up if anybody had some words to share for today. Feel free to come on up.
Hello everybody. Truly beautiful words. Truly beautiful man. I knew Wade for a very, very brief window in this flash that we call a life. I shared with him some dark stuff. He shared with me some dark stuff as well. I was then locked in a room with COVID with this guy for 11 days straight. Let me tell you what, Wade snores. If anything, it will be remembered would be the ringing out through the halls of this place with his mighty chainsaw running at 2 in the morning. This guy and me are fishermen. I thought I could fish. Apparently not. But this guy also brought to me a very sharpness and a very key way. The guy was so sharp. In a conversation you thought you could navigate with this man, he was always there to cut you off with a quick wit. I mean, the guy was sharp. He spoke of his family during our lockdown, during our time together. He spoke of his family, his sister, his children, and he just spoke so highly. In his childhood, he spoke of. Me and Wade went through our childhoods together and talked a lot, and while his was far superior to mine, growing up in the country and having this freedom he spoke of all the time, being a wild kid, he was a wild man of the jungle, I envied that. And then we talked about our middle years, and then we got into where we were at this time and place where we were both struggling. The guy really knew how to give of himself to people. I mean, everyone came first before Wade. The guy just had this thing in him that was, I wanted and I envied. Everyone envied this guy. He was and will be always a part of me, even though we were just a vanishing mist in this nano period of time that we call our life. I'm carrying what this man gave me, and I'm practicing what he gave me forevermore. I'm not sad. I don't celebrate Wade in sadness. I celebrate him in his greatness that he had. All of the sharp key, the wit that this guy had, I want that. And I'm going to use that. And I'm going to use his music. He and I were locked down, and he had his phone, and we went through the 70s music together all the time. And in the morning, this guy would go and get his phone and turn on the Brady Bunch song. I think I'll go for a walk outside. Sunshine's calling my, everybody's happy, Sunshine Day. This guy would play that. And Disco Inferno. Me and him would be, and because we were the only two older guys in the unit, you see, so we gravitated towards one another. Disco Inferno. He'd crank this, and we'd be dancing. This guy danced, you know, and I don't mean to, but he could really get down, man. And I just want to let everybody know I'm a stranger, and you guys have lent me your ear. But I really hope that, having said what I said, let's not be sad. This guy's free. I know what he's doing right now. He's on this glorious lake of never-ending fish and walleye. He has strong legs to skate. Again, he complained about his legs. This guy's legs are strong, and he skates hard. And everything he does up there, he does hard because he can now. You know, he's not gone. Physically, he's not here throwing Starburst at me, throwing these little Snicker bites at me, because I didn't have a lot when I was in there. He had all this candy and everything, and he would always beat me in the back of the head with a Snicker bar and give me popsicles. If anybody knew Wade, he's all about the popsicles. You know, he's not with us here physically, but he's here in our hearts. He's here in his spirit. And I'm just a stranger, but you guys all had a piece of Wade. I only had a short piece. I wanted more. With that being said, I'm not going to be sad. Please don't be sad for this man. be joyful for his greatness that he had and he brought to us. Truly. I hope that everybody here leaves today with a little bit more vision, a little bit more wisdom, having what he gave us, and knowing he's good. Man's good. Thank you.
Anybody else? It's getting pretty tough. It's getting pretty tough.
I love it though.
Yeah, and it's great, but just being here, meeting a lot of you is really special, so. Steve's coming up, he's got a broken foot, a brand new knee.
Been telling people I don't know how I broke my foot, but I think it's when I heard that Wade left us, I should see the wall. I'm not gonna say a whole lot. I almost felt like I grew up with Wade and his siblings. Remember all those games we used to play? Hungry Hippos and, just, they were a lot of fun. Every time we had a wedding, Danny, we had a picture of Danny and Wade in front of the church, and they loved to ham it up. So his mother was my sister, and she was an awesome person. And as Kara sort of alluded to, she was not much of a disciplinarian. And she didn't exactly run a tight rein, tight ship. And the kids really, truly raised themselves in many respects. But I remember my sister saying once that her greatest accomplishment was her kids. And when you've heard from 3 of them today, and you've heard about the 4th, and it's a great accomplishment. They're a great bunch of kids, testament to Wade and my sister. And his kids and Jenny, you guys have been braver than I could be during the struggle, and I hope you know that everybody's here for you guys and do anything we can. But I want to hear more from Corey. He's the funny one in the family. Say something. No, and I'll just echo what everyone else has said. Wade was just the nicest guy in the world. He had his struggles, but everybody who knew him loved him. The other thing besides playing games was music. He knew the lyrics to everything, and it was fun. Our ears did overlap a lot, but the only one that I remember when Kara's Ethan's baby shower, when we had a musical, the only buddy who beat me in that was Corey. And you beat me by quite a bit. That's because he had music that knowledge that spanned from Jerry Lee Lewis to the present. So talk to us.
No move. All right.
There you go.
All right. It is booby trapped. But you're right, Steve. My musical knowledge was spanned because I had good teachers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, where's Trent? Yeah. We used to play a game in the fish house to predict what song was coming on next. And we were really good at it. I don't know if that's good or bad, right? But we'd sit there for hours fishing and try to predict what the next song was. And I could not believe how often we were right. So, Jenny, great job. Yeah. Sisters, great job. You, sir, I didn't catch your name.
My name is David.
David, thank you. I mean, all your words were spot on. It's amazing. I'm not gonna prolong this, but I do want to talk about one photo. This one right here. you're fished with Wade, he's gonna outfish you. That's a fact. You can be the same boat, same hole, using the same lure. In that photo is the Northern. I'm holding it. I'm reeling it up. The hook pops out. What does Wade do? With his bare hand, grabs the Northern by his mouth and pulls it out. He caught my fish. Now his hand was mangled for probably 3 weeks because of it. Razor sharp teeth. Yeah. Yeah. But that's a fact. He can outfish everybody. Otherwise, you know, it's great to see a lot of the Cub Scouts, you know, parents and kids. He truly loved that. And the hockey families, we're a hockey family as well. It is a family. It's really cool to see you guys come out. He loved it. He's mentored me in my coaching, so pretty special. But that's all I have. I think you guys did an amazing job today. Thank you for being here. Wade touched us all in a different way. It was all for the positive. So, if you want, we're having a little gathering down the road at the Senior Community Center. It's literally about 1.5 miles up, maybe a mile. If you take a ride on CV, it's at the T off of B. So I welcome you all to come down there, share a few more stories, and really celebrate the life of Wade.
And there's barbecue, his favorite. So.
Oh, and there's food, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if nothing else, like, it closes it out.
There we
But
go.
yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming. Josh, it's great to have you here too, and David. I just, makes me feel good. Right? And it's nice for us to hear stories about how he did impact other people's lives. Some of the days were kind of crappy. But when he was good, he was good. And when he had a huge heart and wanted to help everybody. Just wish he would have been able to help himself, right? But be good to each other, be gentle. And yes, if you could join us, that would be fantastic. I would love to be able to chat a bit more. So thank you all for coming. We all appreciate it. Still playing hockey though, right?
Let's do that later.
So every word, every song that you chose with all the other
That was just like third of it. But I was like, I have to do all of it. Oh no, who put it on? I did.
Christmas.
Did I do okay?
Oh, you did.
I know I would get through that. But it had to be the perfect. That one I just was like, that's the Can I ask you so you have sparks? Yeah, would that be okay?
Oh, I see.
Huh? Yeah. And then, no, if you could, yeah, if you give Brady the keys.
Wait.
We got him.
Just trying to get her.
Okay.
Where am I going?
Oh, they're going the same time. No, somebody's got to ride with Andrea. Oh, I'll put the bars.
I'll do that.
You guys want this? Oh, okay. Bars. Katie, did you have bars?
Yeah.
Can you, Andrew? Oh, Andrew's gonna go put them out.
Yeah, they're in the fridge.
Okay, never mind then.
We don't want to know.
She's gonna put them out. The cookies. Yeah, we need to have pictures.